Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be another tutorial on this eye look here using some of the shadows that I have selected here and made into like a little custom palette. If you watched my Shop My Stash from a few days ago, I'll link it up here. You know that I have pulled these just basically to focus on, not to use altogether, but to be sort of the star of the show in other looks. So for today's look, I have used a bit of the pink, the navy blue here, and then the bright silver. All the items are going to be listed down below so that you know exactly what the shadows are and where they are from. And without further ado, let's do this. I've started off, I've already primed my eye using the TooFaced Shadow Insurance, and then I set that with a loose powder just so that things would blend as easily as possible. For my transition shade, I've got two shadows going on, but what I went in with first was the Sephora Pro palette. This is the Smokey Jewels palette. I'll show you the shades in there. That is what they look like. And I grabbed the shade Fire Opal, which is right down here. I picked that up on the Morphe M510 brush just because it's huge and fluffy, and I stuck that up into the transition area. The only downside to this brush is that it is quite splayed, and then sometimes those little random bristles will poke me in the eye. It's altogether uncomfortable. Next, I took the small dome brush from Makeup Geek and I picked up the shade Capri down here, and I used this sort of as a transition between this transition shade and what will ultimately be my crease and lid shade. I didn't worry about like super specific placement, but tried to keep it into the crease and then up a little bit from there. If any gets on the lid, not a big deal. Applying that shade obviously basically wipes out a lot of the transition shade that I'd already put in there. So I'm going to go back in with a slightly more precise brush. This is the E35 from Sigma. And instead of just using Fire Opal, I'm going to pick up a bit of this hot pink shade here. Unfortunately, this was a limited edition quad from Blush Tribe. They do have a neon palette and they have some neon pigments, so I don't know that you can find the exact same shade as what this one is, but I can speak to the performance of their neon shades and they are fantastic. So if neons are up your alley, Blush Tribe may have the color for you. So I picked that pink up and then picked up a bit of the Fire Opal as well, just so that they were kind of mixed together, and then blended along the edge of where that dark teal shade is. After that step was complete, I picked up the Velour E07 brush. This is possibly one of my favorite brushes. I like it because it's so nice and precise, yet it's very flexible. So it's great for blending things out. It's not as stiff as, say, a pencil brush would be. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. It's got nice precise placement, but it also blends, so I like it. I used that to pick up this navy blue shade here. This one was from the Morphe 39A palette, which I've obviously depotted. Honestly, any navy blue shade is going to do, but this is the one that I have. So then I placed that into the outer area of my lid and then blended it along the top and into the inner portion of my lid as well. did dip back into the pan a few times to do this, simply because, especially with something as dark as this, it's easier to just apply a little bit and build up rather than go in with a whole whack of shadow at first and hope for the best. This way it just avoids a lot of fallout and makes blending a lot easier than if you have a ton of product on your lid. To help with the blending of all that, I used a clean brush. This is the All Over Blending Brush, E37 from Sigma. Didn't pick up any product, but just sort of ran that along where the dark shadow meets the pinky orange. Then I used a finger to apply this gorgeous silver shade. This is in the shade Just Chilling from MAC. It was part of their Shiny Pretty Things collection, released around December 2018. I think it's still available on the Sephora website and possibly on MAC as well, but like, it's phenomenal. It's gorgeous. And I just patted that over the center. If you wanted, you could get super precise about it. You could do like a halo cut crease and add some concealer and blend it all out and make it as precise as you wanted, but that's just not my life right now. So patting it on is a-okay as far as I'm concerned, and then I just kind of blended out the edges just with my finger. And frankly, I kind of like the imprecise look, to be honest. Then to blend the edges of that silver, I went back in with that navy blue and just patted it along the outside of that shade. Also ran it up and into the crease as well. Then I picked up more of that navy blue on the tip of the brush and ran it under my lash line. Then I went back with the E35, picked up the pink and the orange shade again, and blended out the blue. For my inner corner highlight, I used Moonstone from Becca and just popped that into the inner corner and underneath the brow bone as well. Next up was liner, and I didn't do anything fancy with it. I just followed along the upper lash line, and I used the Clinique Pretty Easy liquid liner to do that. I also applied a black liner in my waterline and on the inner rim of my upper lash line as well. Then I applied mascara, and I'm using a sample from MAC. This is the In Extreme Dimension 3D Black Lash. Not wild on it, I will say. It just doesn't do an awful lot, but we're gonna do lashes because somebody asked me for lashes and I can't remember who it was, and I'm really sorry about that, but I hope you're watching this video because I'm gonna talk you through the easiest lashes that I have come across. Okay, lashes. Not all lashes are created equal. And I don't profess to be a lash expert. It does create anxiety in me. Oftentimes it's not worth the risk as far as I'm concerned. However, Velour has made it about as easy as it can be. They have a line called Effortless, and they have a few different styles in that line. These ones are in the style For Real though, and these are the second pair of Effortless that I've had. I've also had Just a Hint, I think they were called. Fantastic. These will run you about $30 a pair, I think about $34 on the Canadian Sephora website, so they are pricey. However, you can get, I would say, a good 20 uses out of them before they start to get a little mangy. They're just so durable, and I think they're worth the price because you can get so many wears out of them. What makes them so much easier, in my opinion, is the fact that they are not as long as typical lashes are. So they've got a nice curve to the band. This one's a little bit misshapen because I've worn these a few times, but they've got a nice curve to the band. The band is fairly thick as well, so it's not super flimsy. It's not going to flop around all over the place. So just for sake of comparison, these lashes here are from Bombshell Cosmetica, and they are a ton of lash. But you can see, maybe you can't. First of all, ignore my chipped nails, whatever. You can see the difference. So these I would consider to be like 3/4 length. They're not necessarily half lashes. They're longer than half lashes, but they're not the full band where you have to kind of figure out where to trim them and all that difficulty, whatever, grammar. So, also, the glue is going to make a difference. So I'm using a glue from House of Lashes. I've also had very good success with the Revlon paint-on glue as well. Duo and I don't get along. I don't like the little squeeze tube. I hate the smell of it, and I find that it's just not strong enough. So these two, the Revlon and the House of Lashes, I have no complaints about. So I guess I can show you what I'm doing. So I just paint the band and then just let it sit for about 30 seconds or so. The other thing with these ones is that there's really not much of a difference from one end to the other, meaning you can kind of apply them to either eye. It doesn't really matter. With the longer ones, often there's shorter, more sparse lashes on the inner portion of the band, getting longer on the outside. But here you can see, at least in this style, that they're the same. So just kind of flap it around a little bit, let it get tacky. If you find that they're sliding around too much, it's probably because they haven't got tacky enough. If you just wipe the glue on and then try to stick them on, they're going to smudge around and it's going to be very frustrating. Now, there are lash applicators that look like fancy, weird-looking tweezers, all that kind of thing. I don't find that I need them with these guys because they're so easy to apply. So I've got my mirror sitting in front of me, kind of angle it up so that I'm looking down so that my lash is exposed, if you will. Just going to pinch it in the middle with my fingers and then set it down on the lash line. Secure the outer. Secure the inner. And then just kind of push them gently. And then kind of squeeze my lashes into the fake lashes. And there you can see the difference. Let's bring it in. So obviously this is the eye with lashes, this is the eye without lashes. When I look down, I can see that the black glue has kind of smudged a little bit. So what I then do is just go back with that liquid liner and just even out the line a bit. And there you have it. That is as easy as it is. These lashes are just fantastic for this. Now, if you do have full-length ones, you could just cut them and make them a custom length so that it's easier to deal with. I know some people I think Sam Ravindall likes to cut them into, say, 3 different pieces and then apply them where she wants along the lash band. That's a totally perfectly acceptable way of doing it as well. I just find that these ones are so much easier because they're already trimmed and then I don't have to worry about cutting them and storing multiple pieces. They're 3/4 lengths. They're completely sufficient for my needs. These, like, I don't know why I ordered them. I didn't realize they were going to be quite so big. It's a little bit aggressive for my personal preferences, but these are fantastic. So I'm just going to pop on the other one, do some lipstick, and then I'll be back to show you the completed final look. And there we go. That is the final look. What I used on my lips was Stone from Dose of Colors. I wanted something with a little bit of pink, but not anything that would compete with what's going on the eyes. So I think I struck the balance here, but really you could go dark and vampy with this. You could do whatever you want to do. It's just makeup. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Thank you for all of your positive responses on tutorials that I have done. I really appreciate the feedback because I want to do the content that you guys want to see. So knowing what it is that you're interested in really helps me out. So feel free anytime you have requests or anything like that. I don't view it as you guys being a pain in the butt at all. It's just super helpful and part of what we're doing here in this little community that we're building. So feel free, leave requests and all of that down below. Thank you, as I said, for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.